Welcome everybody to the European Masters. My name is K1ck Scoundrel. I'm joined by K1ck, and we are coming at you with the delayed but now rescheduled K1ck versus GamersOrigin. Obviously, we'll talk a little bit about what happened in a moment, but I guess what's most important for us is reflecting on yesterday as well, because if you weren't here yesterday, we had another quarterfinal take place, and it was the Movistar Riders versus Fnatic Rising game, where Movistar Riders came out on top in a 2-1 victory.
And it felt like Fnatic was gonna crash the SLO dreams yesterday. You know, no SLO team in the top 4 would be a big wound for the region, but Chico and Hava, the two carries from Movistar, stepped up big time and helped the team take this home.
Yeah, it's I was heartbroken, to be honest with you. I don't want to lie about it. I obviously had huge hopes for Fnatic and Excel, actually, who both bowed out in that quarterfinal stage. But it was just too good for Movistar. You know, Chico as well, especially, was incredibly good, and Hava as well, the AD carry, who didn't get much of a spotlight on him throughout this tournament, was positionally very good on that Misfortune, with really well-timed Misfortune ultimates in the game that kind of sealed the deal for Movistar Riders. And K1ck, it's now relief for the SLO, because they have a seed in the top 4 and they are continuing that trend of being in the top 4 teams within Europe. There was a potential that the SLO bows out in the quarterfinals for the very first time ever in this European Masters.
Yeah, that wasn't really the case there. I feel like we had a discussion right there, and you told me the first game, wow, Fnatic is really, showing up. And I had a thought at the back of my head, and I was like, I think that Movistar are just gonna turn on the machine. And like you mentioned, I've been praising Hava the entire tournament. I feel like he's an ADC that goes underneath the radar, but his position, his happy feet every single time, being able to get out of very crucial skill shots, and the timing, and when he positions around every fight, trying to find that little gap that will benefit his team and his damage output is just fantastic.
Yeah, and I think Movistar Riders have had their issues. I don't think they've played perfectly, but they have grown from game to game. And I think this is really, really powerful for them and the SLO in general to make it to that top 4 position and find themselves in the semi-final, joining the LFL and the Ultraliga, who already have those spots on the top side of the bracket. Speaking of the LFL and the Ultraliga, we have our rescheduled quarterfinal to bring you right now. Now, just to give you some context as to why this quarterfinal was played separately, essentially, yesterday, we had an issue with the Tournament Realm login servers, and then widespread server issues across the League of Legends servers worldwide. And that meant that, unfortunately, due to the fact that the fix took a little while to find, we did not want to put the players in a situation where they were playing in a potentially shaky playing field. We didn't want to force them to have to play too late. And with the delay, we decided to reschedule that best of 3 until today, which is what we have managed to get to work today. And we are now going to be bringing you that quarterfinal. So we are ready to be diving into that, and let's kind of have a brief overview of that quarterfinal now. This is GamersOrigin from the LFL, and it is K1ck coming from the Ultraliga. Again, Poland and France really well represented in the top 8 of the European Masters. Let's start off with GamersOrigin, a team that has looked very strong throughout this entire tournament, Georgia.
And I feel like the LFL as a whole came in as the favorites together with the Prime League. And there was a question raised when we were in the groups. We're like, okay, Prime League has come in with 3 teams. The LFL has come in with 2. What if they both can get all of the teams out? It feels like the Prime League will have the advantage since they will have the 3 teams. And I think I replied to you back then, I feel like it's quality over quantity. And it feels like quality has made it through to at least one semi-final and one quarterfinal, trying to get through there. GamersOrigin have looked very polished, very clean. Great clean mid-game macro is what's made or break a lot of teams, and theirs seems to be crystal clear. There we go. And the late game is where mostly their wins are coming from. The average game time of a game in EU Masters is 32 minutes something, and GamersOrigin average game is 36 something, which means that they didn't merely adapt to the late game, Scoundrel, they were born in it.
Yeah, I think that's very much reflected in the GamersOrigin stats. Obviously, then, on the flip side, we have K1ck Neosurf from the Ultra Liga. They are incredibly fast-paced, almost in terms of playstyle very different to GamersOrigin in the sense that they always seem to have an early game lead. They take first tower more often than not. They're very aggressive, and their game time is much quicker than that of GamersOrigin, sitting at around the 29-minute mark. So what is it about K1ck that has been impressive as we head towards Champion Select?
First of all, I have to mention that it's a full Polish squad that's driven by passion, because the region in general is very passionate about the esports scene and League of Legends. They've managed to get 2 teams through so far, and they both look incredibly strong. But just to give props to the all Polish squad right here from K1ck, they do have a sweet tooth for early game aggression, but it seems to be working out so far. They're closing out games faster than any team in EU Masters so far, at least their average game time, and they're looking to come here. I mean, 15 minutes into the game go past, and every single lane is ahead in gold. It speaks pretty much miles for the entire squad, especially Ibar playing these tanks in the top lane, being 700 gold average up at 15 minutes playing on. Okay.
Yeah, the top side of the map for K1ck is very, very, very strong. And I think that's kind of what we're looking towards when we're looking at K1ck. The Matislaw, you know what you get with him. He's a rock in the mid lane. He kind of does his job every single time. Shlatan and Ibo are the ones that we're keeping our eyes on, the difference maker. Whereas for GamersOrigin, SMILEY and HustlinbeasT for me has been super impressive. One of the highest kill participations in the tournament. I think sitting at around 87-88%. That is reflected with bluezor as well. And SMILEY and Hustlin, I think if they have their game, that is, it's almost unbeatable for, I think they can beat pretty much any bot lane in the tournament so far. So I think there's strength and weaknesses to both of these teams, but I do think that K1ck, if they get that snowball lead on the top side of the map with Matislaw performing well, I think that they're going to have an advantage. Whereas GamersOrigin, if they can weather the early aggression, the early storm from K1ck, then SMILEY and Hustlin on their day will beat any bot lane.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Arguably, like you said, I feel like SMILEY and HustlinbeasT are the strongest, arguably, again, bot lane in EU Masters right now, but K1ck have their strengths elsewhere on the map. Matislaw and Shlatan as a duo are very strong. They like roaming around the map together, getting these dives going, getting their side lanes going, which is most of their gold lead, which is where most of their gold lead is coming from into the early game. Now, GamersOrigin have shown that they can bleed mostly by a crazy Mustast man with 2 axes in his hands. Which is not something that Puki style is playing. You know, Draven has been the nemesis of GamersOrigin in this tournament, and I was like a maniac trying to look around all his solo queue accounts, like, does he play the Draven? Is he gonna pull it out against GamersOrigin? And I don't think that's the case. I didn't find it anywhere. But he's gonna lock in the Aphelios. He's very familiar with this champion. I've praised his positioning on the Aphelios specifically, so can't wait to see him.
Yeah, I think it's one of his most played champions this entire tournament. Now, I do need to make you aware that Zoe has been locked in for Matislaw, and it has been banned against K1ck 86% of the time before this game. They now have Matislaw playing Zoe. Matislaw, I feel, is almost synonymous with Zoe. He was kind of known as being an excellent Zoe player, and still is known as being an excellent Zoe player, and that has now been locked in for K1ck. GamersOrigin has left that open. I'm assuming that they have a plan for it. That plan looks to be Corki for toucouille in the mid lane. How do you feel about Matislaw getting this pick that he's so good at into a matchup like Corki?
I think if we take the nameplates completely off, because obviously this is how the pro players play. We've talked before about leader Akali, like how do you feel playing against leader Akali? It's not, it's just about Akali. So I'm just going to focus on the fact that Shlatan and Matislaw like getting early prior mid, roaming around the map. Zoe is so good at giving freedom to her jungler, whoever that is. She's pushing waves so easily without having to commit too much of her mana pool, which means that once she roams around the map, the other lanes have to respect the Fog of War and the Zoe missing, together of course with not knowing where Shlatan is. So I think it is a combination of Matislaw being so exceptionally good on that mage and the kit that it gives so much to the composition overall and complementing the roaming abilities.
It looks like they also picked up the Braum. They don't want to be seeing that Misfortune ultimate having huge impacts, and obviously Braum pretty solid at dealing with that in the right scenario. Now we're going through the second ban phase here. As we go through the second ban phase, I do want to deliver the news about where Twitch chat have voted. I think to the surprise of no one, we have a lot of incredibly passionate Polish fans in Twitch chat. The results are in that 60% of you believe that K1ck Neosurf are going to take this game here, with 40% obviously then being behind GamersOrigin. Polska Grom is spammed a lot in the Twitch chat. We've got some incredibly passionate Twitch chat fans for the Polish team, and if Poland and K1ck win this, they would make up 50% of all of the teams left in. The Ultraliga, with their 2 seeds, they would actually occupy the majority of the regions in the tournament if K1ck were to make it through. The same story with the LFL as well. So both of these regions have a lot on the line on this particular best of 3.
Polish final, France final. I don't know, we're gonna have to wait and see. I think what's coming in right here for the junglers for both GamersOrigin and K1ck is pretty much textbook. Shlatan on that Lee Sin, name a more iconic duo, and of course bluezor on his very loved Trundle to be able to assist the team, steal away any sort of defenses from whoever he can find. My eyes fall onto the Braum at this point, because I think he's going to be the most tanky, beefy member on the side of K1ck.
I also think this is a very comfortable draft for K1ck from what I'm seeing so far. Trouble, I think, you know, Zoe, Matislaw, Ibo has got his Aatrox, Shlatan has got his Lee Sin, his most played champion in the tournament so far. This looks very comfortable for the first game of this best of 3. The response for GamersOrigin, I can only imagine for Shemek in the top lane, is going to be that Zac. This is very much a classic GamersOrigin draft. It's not designed to have impact early. Yes, there is the Misfortune and the Trundle who can, but this is a scaling comp, whereas there is a bit more aggression, especially from the top side of the map. There's a bit more early game pressure coming out from the K1ck side.
I like to see that GamersOrigin have found a way to play through the early game and not pretty much seed every single lane and just wait until K1ck make a move and then try to counter gank that. So bluezor will have, like you said, the top side to play through. The Aatrox is pretty squishy in the early stages of the game, so if you manage to put him behind, then he's not going to be that big menace in the backline, causing nuisance. But like
wait
you
a second,
said,
I was wrong. Hustlin is playing Zac support, and Shemek is playing top lane Sett. I just assumed it was Sett support. I was wrong. Hustlin, we know he picks out. He's got a more eclectic bot lane champion pool. We know he plays quite a variety of bot lane picks. He's one of the few that's picked up Galio. Now it is Zac support for HustlinbeasT.
This is why I said that I like what GamersOrigin are doing here and then putting the Sett top, because then the Trundle has a lane to play through. It can provide sort of easier ganks than the Zac would, and a lot more damage output than the Zac as well. And in general, usually the Zac in the top side is picked for these later game fights. He's just given a lane to sit on the side lane, not die. He has the passive, so he's going to be pretty free farming the entire time, and he becomes a tank, and he provides the initiation that the team needs as well. So I like that he's bot side mostly rather than top, and try to get that Sett snowballing a little bit earlier into the game.
This is really interesting to me, because this to me speaks volumes that maybe GamersOrigin wants to attempt to play through that bottom side of the map, Puki style, on a very immobile AD carry, and you're bringing down a potential gank from bluezor on the Trundle with the engaged potential of HustlinbeasT on the Zac. And obviously Zac into Braum is perfectly fine for Zac, right? It makes me feel like GamersOrigin feel that their win condition sits in that bottom side of the map, although there is an invade coming here from Shlatan.
This is such a Shlatan move right there. He's going to take the red buff, and then he's going to try to 3-buff himself. He's pulled it off so many times unharmed. This time, you're against Trundle. I feel like the matchup is sort of 50-50, and it will mainly have to do with priorities around your lanes. You see that bluezor, the second that he spots Shlatan down there, he's like, no sir, you ain't gonna 3-buff yourself. We're gonna split the map, and I can get to myself.
Yeah, he's going to go straight into that vertical jungling pattern here. Shlatan probably aware that that's the case. I mean, I believe there was a ward put down on that blue side jungle entrance by Ibo, and I think bluezor might have just walked over that. Shlatan's actually going to go for a full side top clear here, so he's going to take more than just those 2 camps. He's going to try and play a full clear on the top side versus bluezor. And I wonder whether bluezor is going to do the same thing here. I think they must have some kind of information that Shlatan is still on that top side, and it looks like bluezor will.
I think it's kind of like the mental thing here, where Shlatan was spotted. He knew that he was spotted from the GamersOrigin bot lane. So the normal thing for bluezor to do is go over to Shlatan's blue buff and try to go from there. They might be preparing a dive.
Are they really thinking about a dive right now? Like very early on? I guess they're looking to punish that Zac. They're looking to punish that Zac super early here. There's the exhaust going down immediately. SMILEY locked up. Lots of damage and forced out the healers. Raxxo first blood goes over to Hustlin, and hey, they'll get a kill back. Puki picks it up onto XD.SMILEY eventually. And that might be worth the kick because it's denying resources from SMILEY specifically.
If I was K1ck, I would take this trade any day, because you get your kill onto your ADC, and sure, the dive might have not been very sweet because it's a 3v2 and Zac is very strong against these tower dives, but it is going to be the support from GamersOrigin grabbing that kill with the ignite, and so much CS that was pushed underneath the tower has been missed. Experience, CS, gold from XD.SMILEY is all gone. Puki, not only does he cash in on that beautiful kill right there that his team gave to him, but he's also now ahead in lane, which not only allows Shlatan to move around the map, but they can also start pushing this neutral objective that we've seen GamersOrigin being so dominant over.
Yeah, and actually when it comes to first dragons, GamersOrigin are a team that tends to take about 1.3 dragons before 15 minutes. They are pretty quick to get the dragon, and immediately Shlatan heading into toucouille forced to bounce away here. They may be able to get a play out of this, but Shlatan is super active in this early game on this Lee Sin, looking to stamp down his mark. We talked about Shlatan being one of the difference makers in this particular game. I do feel like the junglers are both very good, but that top side of the map from mid, jungle, top for K1ck is very strong, and Shlatan is so good right now at just putting pressure everywhere on the map.
He's stepping up, he's making the plays, and even though you don't necessarily get a kill, for example there in the mid lane, you put the pressure onto toucouille's Corki, who is going to struggle into this lane. You're gonna have to go for something like the Hex Drinker to try and survive an assassination by Zoe and all that damage coming towards you. So even pushing you further back and missing a couple of CS, it is going to count on a Corki who wants to scale 30, 40 minutes into the game and start fighting them.
Yeah, remember we talked about the average game time for GamersOrigin being, well, about 36 minutes. It's 29 or so for K1ck, so K1ck are generally a bit quicker though. Raxxo now going to try and be focused down here. He will not get locked up, but HustlinbeasT pulls him back in, and Raxxo immediately pops the Unbreakable. A really great weight on that, and now the teleport coming through. They're trying to turn things back around as bluezor forced to flash away, and now Ibo coming in, starting to slam down with the sword onto XD.SMILEY. Puki style will pick that up, and now HustlinbeasT will be focused once more. The blobs are on the floor. They are surely going down too. K1ck have responded so well in this early game.
Oh my god, and they're cashing in on very crucial members. That Aphelios 2-0 already. 1 kill onto the Aatrox, the top lane carry as well. And we were wondering, where does all that plus gold at 15 minutes come from K1ck? Well, this is where it comes from. They're literally killing everyone from GamersOrigin, and if we play that replay again, I want you to focus a little bit on that top lane, because Shemek was chasing Ibo the entire time this fight was going on, because he knew he had the disadvantage on the teleport. The second Ibo feels free to TP, he pulls the trigger. I'm not sure if Shemek missed his interrupt right there, that's why he walked off. This is why I want to see the replay.
Yeah, well, hopefully we'll have a look at that if it does come back this way. But I think, all right, let's break it down. It is coming back here, Trouble. Let's take a look at this fight.
Yeah, Raxxo oversteps his boundaries a little bit, but positioning does help, and Zac misses crucial spells right there that allow him, and Shemek just lets go. completely off Aibo, because remember, you don't know where Shlatan is. So while this fight is going on bot, and Shemek steps too far forward into Fog of War, he might be facing a very angry Elysian. Great stuff right there from K1ck. They're pulling the trigger where they know they have the advantage. The teleport was great. Sure, you might miss a couple of CS in the top lane, but you make up for it with the kill.
Look at this on Matislaw, just going toe-to-toe with toucouille. He knows the limits of this champion so well, and K1ck are already up about, well, 500 gold. It's nothing to write home about, but it's a start, right? They've taken some plates. They're starting to get some real early aggression. They're putting pressure onto GamersOrigin here, and you kind of painted this picture for us, Georgia, before we kind of jumped into the game about the fact that the gold lead at 15 is always positive. You know, 2,000 plus gold for K1ck. They have a really good, solid early game. They're very aggressive. They look to end their games quicker than anybody else in this tournament, and obviously much quicker than GamersOrigin so far. Matislaw steals the blue as we're saying that, and already it does feel like K1ck are ramping up here. Is it going to be too much for GamersOrigin to deal with? Are GamersOrigin going to struggle with this early pressure, as they are classically a team that looks to scale up?
See, the problem will be to try and deal with the Zoe and the Aphelios. The Aphelios is already a little bit accelerated into the game, already has that BF, which means that next Dragon comes through, he's going to have more power than the Misfortune to move into that river in the bot side. Matislaw on the Zoe has been bullying toucouille around the mid lane, which means Shlatan is able to dance around the entire map unaffected by GamersOrigin. Now, what I've been thinking about is the fact that because toucouille wants to scale later, he's gonna go for the Mana Moon, which doesn't allow him to go Hex Drinker, or he's gonna fall extremely further behind. So, oh, we might have a fight here. I'll hold my thought.
Yeah, it is the Rift Herald fight right now. Shlatan does get thrown down onto by the Sett. That's a lot of damage. They immediately take out the jungler. Aibo pop in as well, but Matislaw untouched, just in that front line, putting pressure onto Shemek, and he flashes back and forward and will find his way out of the fight. There's no way that he managed to get out of this, as Aibo just monsters his way through GamersOrigin. And XD.Smiley, my friend, I think you're a bit late to the party. K1ck just crushed GamersOrigin where they stood, and I don't even think Aibo's done just yet. That's a triple kill for the top laner from K1ck Neosurf.
Woo! And we had a conversation, and I told you, out of every member on K1ck, it is Aibo. Oh, and he wants more.
He wants more. Raxxo, he does pop the stopwatch. XD.Smiley will be forced to back away. This is incredible, and they've already built up a gold lead that is about equivalent to what they have at 15 minutes. K1ck are ready for it, and I really want to highlight just what kind of happened in that fight. I guess we'll get a replay of it at some point, but I want to focus on Matislaw and Aibo. We mentioned the top side of the map for K1ck, and they are already performing.
Check out Matislaw right here. He walks out very crucial abilities to try and keep himself alive, and then he's playing frontline. He's like, I'm the tank, I'm fine, I can do the damage, I can dance around with all my abilities, and he gets out untouched, while Aibo is literally destroying the HP bars of GamersOrigin. So, talking about that question that we had at the start, are they going to maybe regret allowing the Zoe through for Matislaw? The answer could be yes at this point, Scoundrel.
My goodness, why would you give this man Zoe? Like, why would you give what's like the reasoning baffles me. Like, why would you just give Matislaw Zoe? He's so good on this champion. He's had it banned against him 86% of the time. What was their theory? Look, there must have been a theory, right? GamersOrigin are not stupid. They're an incredibly good team. So there must have been a theory. It just hasn't worked for them. The execution this game hasn't been there for GamersOrigin. And they haven't been able to deal with that pick, which up until that point, I don't think had been like hugely impactful on the map. But in that fight, you saw Matislaw limit testing. Like, you saw him limit testing. He went to the limits of what Zoe was capable of in that fight and came out with the huge W in that Rift Herald fight. It was
Indeed,
really
frontline
nice
one in four. toucouille is caught between a rock and a hard place right here.
Yeah, and here comes Aibo as well. The Valkyrie will not allow toucouille to stop, and Aibo 5-0-2. They're going to get the kill onto bluezor as well. GamersOrigin are falling apart at 12 minutes into this game, and K1ck are in complete control.
I don't even know what bluezor was trying to do in the bot side river, because even if you're trying to contest with your bot lane, you need some vision to go through, and it's okay at this point in the game. You're playing for the late game, leave one dragon to go through to K1ck and try to come back through other neutral objectives on the map. 1.5k gold lead in the top side, 1k gold lead in the mid and bot. This is prime K1ck right here. This is K1ck pre-15 minutes into the game. Another plate, another tower for Puki. This is going to be a very, very rich Aphelios. And here's my question, right?
Yep,
I've been very critical of the Manamoon build onto the Corki. Not because it's not a great build and it really accelerates him into the late game and he converts all these sweet stats and he makes him a menace. That's not my problem. The problem here is that when you play against a Zoe or the likes of a Syndra, that can do this to you with one spell, you need the Hex Drinker. And yes, it delays your spike a little bit, but it allows you to stay safe, cool, calm, and collected through the laning phase that has now ended, and XD SMILEY and HustlinbeasT have to run for the hills.
Yeah, I'm not sure this is cool, calm, and collected from GamersOrigin. This is maybe frantic and rushed, and they do immediately teleport in. But Aibo, he's the real threat right now. You know, Aibo forced to flash away, actually, though I say this. This is a good response from GamersOrigin, and suddenly the shutdowns coming through. I really felt that was the other way around, though. Matislaw maybe not in that fight, so maybe wasn't able to do the burst damage necessary, and GamersOrigin do find a way to get back at K1ck and find a skirmish that goes in their favor.
And there's a reason Shemek gets a lot of kills in GamersOrigin games. It's because he makes these plays happen for the French team right here. And if you see what he did with that Sett, he dunked, I'm pretty sure it was Raxxo onto the backline, and he got so much damage down. Aibo gets exhausted, I think. No, wait, he gets ignited, I'm sorry. So he can't heal with his ultimate as much as he wishes he could. And then the front line pretty much falls apart because there isn't necessarily a straight up tank to sit in front of all these carries from K1ck. Good pick right there from GamersOrigin. We thought it was going to go very south very quickly, but they ended up bringing it back.
I felt like Aibo was just about to sort of like mince the entire K1ck. Yeah, I literally thought that was going to be the case. Let's take a look at it again in a bit more detail. Maybe you can break down why that went so in favor of GamersOrigin.
Alright, so right now it's a 4v3 and HustlinbeasT looks really green. Puts the stopwatch down to buy some time. Yeah, he grabs the Braum. And suddenly, the whole backline is zoned by a Sett. They cannot help Aibo. Aibo gets ignited right there, which means he doesn't heal as much as he would like to from his ultimate, so he can't play frontline. And suddenly, GamersOrigin are back into the game.
Yeah, they are still behind in gold, but not a huge amount. 2,000 gold the lead for K1ck right now. They're going to try and push down onto this tier 2 in the bot lane. Aibo, unfortunately, with their Zac in the sidelines, doesn't feel comfortable going all in on the defense right now. They do trade that mid lane tier 1, and actually GamersOrigin now have not had the time to commit to push that tier 2 as much as they would have liked. It is going to be now Shlatan going for the Rift Herald. They did lose out on the first one, which has allowed GamersOrigin to get a couple of structures and keep that gold lead to a manageable level, but I think K1ck will be pretty happy picking up the Rift Herald in response for a mid lane tier 1, only traded for that bot lane tier 1.
Yeah, and they could pull out a very clever play by allowing Shirley to get onto that mid lane tier 2 tower and potentially get that one for themselves while the dragon is also spawning, and they can get on soul point if they get that as well for the side of K1ck. So it's not necessarily always about getting these towers or getting these plates. It's how you can manipulate another team around the map to your advantage by putting down the Rift Herald. And K1ck do have the opportunity to do this here. Let's have a look at the items as well. This Aphelios is sitting so close to that 2-item power spike, and something that is worth mentioning is all that armor being built up from the side of GamersOrigin, which means Matislaw is gonna hit all that much harder.
Oh, XD SMILEY forced to flash away here. Will use the speed boost to get out of the iron jaws of Aibo, who has been very difficult to deal with for the French roster so far. And I was going to start to talk a little bit about those item spikes coming through because, you know, we've got the Ludens for the Zoe, which is important. And, you know, we are about 15 minutes in, and it is still a pretty good gold lead to work with right now for K1ck Neosurf. They have a pretty solid early game take right at this point. And you kind of mentioned it when we were talking about the style. This is very K1ck. This is very kind of synonymous with what we've seen from them during the European Masters, and they are continuing that kind of play into the likes of GamersOrigin, maintaining their early game. Although Puki style out of position here, he gets packaged and he is just dead. Great catch by toucouille, as now Ibo going to get focused down, maybe forced to dive across the wall here as he gets out of the way of GamersOrigin, and they will take the Infernal Drake off the back of a single pick onto Puki style.
Oh, don't hold your breath on that one, X-Scoundrel, because look at Shelly. She's doing work in the bot side. Remember what we said?
Yeah.
Use the Herald to manipulate the enemy team to choose, and Shlatan might be stealing.
Oh, Shlatan might be stealing. I'm going to reiterate that. Shlatan has stolen. He has taken the Infernal Drake, and Shelly has pushed that inhibitor turret at the same time. I think K1ck will take that any day of the week. Well done, Puki. It was all a bait. He gets the Infernal Soul set up as well for K1ck, which is huge.
Exactly, he made that work for them. It was Puki style that pushed the wave onto the outer tower in the bot lane, the inner tower, I'm sorry. Shelly takes that one, and while toucouille is too busy trying to catch off K1ck's ADC, Shelly is doing work, opening up a whole inhibitor. And what does Shlatan do? He's like, yeah, I will just add insult to injury here, and I'll steal the dragon as well.
Well, let's take stock. It's about a 3,000 gold lead, which it really feels like, given the structures that have gone down and the way that some of these fights have played out, it should be more. But it's not insurmountable for GamersOrigin to make their way back into this game. They are definitely not out of the running. They have 3 turrets down, so there is standing gold all over the map that they can actually look to take. But right now, it feels like K1ck are the ones to sort of, they've got to step outwards. You know, K1ck have got to make the mistake in this scenario. The Polish representatives from the Ultra Liga are really taking the fight to what a team that most people considered a dark horse for the entire tournament. K1ck have come from the play-ins. You know, this is a team that came from the play-ins. I say that as Raxxo does dive out. Got to be a little bit careful here. I was gonna do a big spiel about play-ins to champions, and Raxxo almost gets caught. but I mean, K1ck have come from the play-ins. They're following in the footsteps of Berlin International Gaming from the previous European Masters. You know, it is not a Cinderella story anymore. It's not a fairy tale. These kinds of results have happened.
It's a tradition, X-Scoundrel. Teams come from the play-ins and become champions. This is it. This is the magic that happens in EU Masters. It's not about being the favorite. It's about becoming the favorite.
Yeah, and I think K1ck throughout the course of this tournament have very quickly been making a case for themselves to become at least a favorite, an outside favorite, maybe just straight up potential, you know, I guess expected champions. But K1ck look very strong, especially this early game. And GamersOrigin are doing a lot of, I guess, defensive turtling to make sure they don't give away too much on the map. And with the Baron spawned, this is where the vision is starting to push through into that red side jungle. This is the part of the game that GamersOrigin need to navigate expertly. They need to make sure they do not give away a silly fight or a Baron, because that could actually just nail this first game for K1ck.
Tell you what, X-Scoundrel. Play early game versus Zoe. You can try and dodge and duck her skill shots. Play mid to late game versus Zoe with no vision is an absolute nightmare. You could die instantly and you still wouldn't know what hit you and from where it did. So it is actually a really good weapon in K1ck's hand to have that Zoe, because it is that ticket towards the late game. We never had a problem with the performance for late game when it comes to K1ck. We had a problem with their shot calling and their decision making. Now they could have actually polished that, haha, pun intended right there, and they can show us go toe to toe with GamersOrigin. But the problem right here for the carries of GamersOrigin is that you will see that most of the time that Misfortune cannot step far forward without Zac being around, because it's too scary for an immobile carry without a tier 2 tower to push out and farm a wave.
Yeah, and also it's not only the Zoe, they also have the Aphelios too. So it's not, I don't want to paint this picture that K1ck are useless when we get to the late game, because like you said, they are certainly not, Georgia. They certainly have the ability to perform in the late game just as well as anybody else. So right now, I mean, K1ck, if they get the Dragon Soul, that's the Infernal, it's a very impactful one, especially with Zoe. I mean, Zoe with Infernal Soul sounds disgusting. And then obviously the Baron being on the cards as well. I genuinely fear for GamersOrigin this game. I think Kick have done such an excellent job of taking the fight directly to their opposite. Oh my god, XD SMILEY, look at the damage that Matislaw managed to get through. That wasn't even using the Sleepy Trouble Bubble, by the way, as HustlinbeasT forced to bounce away. He will get blown up, segregated into those small blobs, and here comes toucouille to try and prevent him from dying. He'll have to package across. That's the ultimate coming out from Misfortune, but the Raxxo Unbreakable will negate most of the damage. And Kick now, they will back off, but that might be enough to set up for this dragon. I just don't feel like GamersOrigin are going to be able to respond.
We just talked about it. You're gonna die, and you're still gonna wonder where from. This is what Zoe does to you, ladies and gentlemen. This is absolutely disgusting. This is why I have added her to my illegal list, and unless there's a lot of nerfs coming her way, it's not coming out of it anytime soon, Scoundrel.
No, and that's the Infernal Soul collected for Kick from the Ultra Liga, the team that came from the play-ins all the way to the quarterfinals, and really it feels like they are pushing for that semi-final spot. They are pushing to have Poland be the majority represented region in this European Masters once we get to the top 4. And honestly, I feel like both Ego Rogue and K1ck Neosurf have made such a huge case for the Ultra Liga in general. They have really made them look like one of the strongest, if not the strongest region in Europe, and they are making a case for the Ultra Liga to have more seeds, more participants in the European Masters, because it really feels like not many teams can stop the power of Poland right now.
Definitely not GamersOrigin, at least in this game. Not that they're out yet. Again, only 4,000 gold deficit between these two teams, and Puki's have been getting caught again.
It's a bait, mate. It's a bait, because he's already got the rest of his team in there. Aibo just slamming down onto the heads of GamersOrigin. Shemek trading back where he can, but Shlatan dives onto toucouille on the back line. He'll take that kill, and there is still a wild Zoe. Matislaw is here, and he will kill you where you stand. K1ck take a commanding fight, and this might just be the end of the game.
I get it now, Scoundrel. It was all a bait. He was just sitting there for the pleasure of GamersOrigin, thinking they could kill him, but the whole team was right there to pull the trigger and defend their ADC, and there's a lot of seconds until toucouille and Shemek come back online, and they could be losing 2 inhibitors here.
Yeah, it might not be the end of the game, but it will certainly be those 2 inhibitors taken down for Kick. And, I mean, Puki, he was backing right in the middle of the red side jungle. Surely he knew that someone was going to try and take that. I don't know if he felt like it was going to be a genuine bait, but Kick responded so well there. And my word, I mean, I've been so impressed with Aibo.
We'll give him it, okay? Scoundrel, we'll give him it. We'll say that it was calculated.
It's definitely calculated. Not even close is what was typed in the chat. Let's take a look at this again.
He's like, I'm good, guys, but you can see that Raxxo and Aibo still do play around him, and that engage is there. But of course, that Unbreakable from Raxxo has been there every single time to block the bullet time coming in from XD SMILEY. I'm pretty sure that the Unbreakable is only there to block that bullet time, because you don't necessarily want to block anything else. A rocket is fine from Corki, but the main source of damage, and a big source of damage, is that bullet time. Oh!
Look at Aibo go, just right into the front line as Shemek forced to go golden. Oh my word, the damage that this man is doing on Aatrox is just disgusting, as HustlinbeasT now the target. Surely the rest of GamersOrigin just fall to the floor here. The triple kill through for Aibo. The Nexus is almost open. K1ck Neosurf are looking to push themselves into 1-0 in this series. Aibo goes golden as this early game was for K1ck Neosurf. They will take this game with style and with ease. 26 minutes below their average game time. They dispatch GamersOrigin.
And they keep making a new record for themselves, Scoundrel. That 29-minute timer that we talked about, their average game time, it keeps getting lower and lower. So GamersOrigin are going to have to come really strong with a new plan on how to stop that early game aggression, or at least lose the least amounts possible around the map, so the comeback is much easier for them. and ban maybe Zoe from Matislaw. That would
maybe ban Zoe from Matislaw. How do you ban the top side of the map from from K1ck Neosurf though? What an incredible start to this series.
One step at a time, Scoundrel, okay? One champion at a time.
I know, one champion at a time. That's going to have to be the way the GamersOrigin approach this. Do you know what was ringing in my head throughout the entire series? I was just like thinking, Polska good on. Polska good on. like they are super good. Like really, really good right now. And I think the Ultraliga has definitely proven themselves already to be such an incredibly strong region in Europe. And I think really deserve the title of almost a major region as well. You know, we talk about minor and major regions in the European Masters. We usually refer to major regions as the SLO, the Prime League, the LFL. Well, I think the Ultraliga have made their case. They should be considered a major region in the European Masters, and the way that the you know almost seeds are dealt, because they have looked incredible so far. Trouble. Look, we're going to go to a quick break. When we're back, we are going to analyze that a bit more. I'm going to get Trouble to walk us through how K1ck just dominated that game, and then we'll dive into our second. We'll see you soon.
Vous comprenez maintenant pourquoi j'ai créé la Magic? En un clip, vous devenez Magic.
La monture avec ses 2 clips pour 149 €.
C'est Magic.
Dispositif médical.
Super Jumping 入り
This is my creed. The boots that make me faster. The items that make me stronger. The potions that I drink. I get the best to be more powerful, so my champion rises to the top. But all this leveling up means nothing if I don't level up myself. It's the healthy potions I drink in real life that make me stronger. Because you can only rule the game when you realize you are your most important champion. To play like a pro, eat like a pro.
Welcome everybody to the European Masters. If you have managed to miss the first, 20 minutes of this so far, this has been a very, very, very quick affair for K1ck as of yet. They took that first game in commanding fashion in just 26 minutes on the clock. There are many things that I think we can analyze about that game. There are many things that we can kind of break down. But Trouble, I need to start with the Zoe. The Zoe, she's on your illegal list for a reason.
Yeah.
What is your illegal list and why is she there? I think this game probably gave us a good reason.
It's usually champions that are considered quote-unquote broken due to how much damage either they can output, how much CC. It's in general it's champions like Sett, like Zoe that can completely swing an entire fight due to one spell, one ability, one movement of their kit. Other champions are very resident sleeper and should not be seen. That's why they are on my illegal list, such as the Graves. You never want to see that in a jungle because you know you're not going to have much action, and we like action here. And K1ck gave us exactly that. Action from minute 3. We talked a little bit about GamersOrigin and their nemesis that has been Draven, and that the only games that they have lost so far had been to bot lane early game aggression, and it seems like they have never been able to bounce back from that, and it's the same case here. But I wasn't expecting K1ck to play through an Aphelios Braum lane. It doesn't make any sense. Shlatan on that listen was everywhere. It was like, I'll get a kill top, I'll get a kill bot, I'll get a kill mid, I'll do this and I'll do that, and GamersOrigin just could not keep up with this madman.
Yeah, I think Shlatan was the driving force behind that bot lane success. He did the top side clear into level 3 tower dive bot, which was already the way that they put XD SMILEY behind, and then they capitalized on that even further. I really feel like Matislaw and Ivo did the heavy lifting in these skirmishes. The top side of the map for K1ck Neosurf is just so strong. Let's take a look at the bracket now, Georgia, and I kind of want to highlight that we already have an Ultra League team in the semi-finals with Rogue. They're taking on LDLC from the LFL. Whichever region wins this will take the majority share in teams remaining in the tournament. If LFL and GamersOrigin win, there will be 2 LFL teams setting up for a potential all-French final. If K1ck Neosurf win, it will be 2 Polish teams, 2 Ultra League teams, and that may potentially set up for an all-Poland final. It really is showing the quality of strength of these regions. Both the LFL and Ultra League, I believe, only sent 2 seeds to this tournament, and we are looking at a situation where both of these regions are posting in the top 4, which is just incredibly successful given the number of seeds that they've sent compared to the remainder of the European countries. Incredible performance from both the LFL and the Ultra League as a whole in this European Masters. But then boiling it back to this, GamersOrigin are now 1-0 down. They need to find a way back into this game. Georgia, how do they do it? Where are GamersOrigin's strengths? Where should they play to deal with K1ck?
See, now if I'm not wrong, we're gonna have again K1ck on blue side, so you have to take this in consideration and try to pull out counter picks. Picking Corki versus the Zoe when you know you're not gonna go Hex Drinker and you're probably gonna be pushed behind the entirety of the early game, I don't think is the answer to the question right here. So pick strong lanes, counter pick K1ck, and try to pull out some of that aggression that K1ck exerted in the first game. Again, GamersOrigin seem to fall flat when the opponent team is extremely aggressive and successful at it in the early game. So just hit them back in the face with the same thing.
Hit them back in the face with the same thing. I will leave you guys with that as we jump to a short break, and when we're back, we should be diving into the champion select of our second game. We'll see you then.